Hi everyone, Josh Olfert back with another video today, and I want to talk to you about a question that we all kind of wonder, and it's a question that I wondered forever, which is, how much money is actually enough? And as we go through our careers as investors and as employees or whatever it is that we're doing, we need to understand this question a little deeper. So time to think like an investor. So when I was younger, I always had this feeling in my family. I'm not sure if this was the situation we were in, but I came from a really frugal family who we always felt like there wasn't quite enough. For some reason, whenever we would go out, we would order off the value menu. If we were to go out to a restaurant, we would always try to find ways to save little bits of money. My dad was always fixing things. We would never buy something new. We would always be fixing something. And throughout my formative years, this kind of built up this, it built up a philosophy, I guess, in my mind that things are scarce and money is scarce. And maybe this was, the goal of parenting was to make me someone who respected the value of a dollar and made sure that I wasn't, being wasteful and that sort of thing. But it also had some adverse effects because as I was growing up, I always thought I had to have a ton of money in order for me to be happy. I had to earn a massive salary or find a job where I was making a lot, so that I wouldn't have to feel that feeling. I wouldn't have to feel as if there was never quite enough or that I was always trying to make ends meet. So as I became an adolescent, very big, flamboyant financial choices started to attract me because it was this whole complex I had in my mind that I needed to have expensive things in order to feel like I was secure. I was always after things like really fast cars. For me, a dream has always been to own a Lamborghini or some sort of supercar. I've always wanted to, have a big house and all these different status items, which were probably the result of me thinking that in order to feel secure, I had to have this massive excess of money. So what started to happen for me was I was going down the path of pursuing all these things. And that's why I really got into investing in the first place. It's why I wanted to learn about business, about rental properties, about all this stuff, was because I wanted to have a lot of money. And I thought that that was the way to happiness or a fulfilling life or all those sorts of things. And what I found in the process, which was, I'm grateful for all these things because it brought me to the place where I realized that it isn't necessarily about how much, but it's about how you get the money in the first place. And a good analogy might be, we talk about diet or your food that you eat. It's not about how much food you eat. People don't really ask the question, how much should I eat? They ask, what should I eat? And when should I eat it? On all those sorts of things. The right question isn't necessarily how much money will make me happy. The right question might be, in what way do I have to earn my money in order to be happy? What I'm eventually getting at here is this idea that, I built a business and I had rental property and I had different investments. And what I found was that the freedom or the income that these things created for me, what we call financial independence, having this portfolio of different businesses or assets or all these sorts of things that pay you, when I became financially independent, the amount of money I made mattered so much less because I found that the real joy and the satisfaction was from earning the money in a way that excited me. So you could think of it in a bunch of ways. Maybe you want to have a career that's really rewarding. You want to create win-wins. That's what business is about. You find a customer and you have a service and you meet in the middle and you create this win-win and you walk away having earned money. The customer's really happy and the whole process was a win. That's a fantastic way to make money. So when you're in situations where you're creating win-wins, or when you're in situations where you're building a business or experiencing that incremental progress, I think that the amount of money you're making starts to become less and less of a factor in your fulfillment or your happiness, and the way you're making it, the freedom it provides you, the win-wins you're creating, the progress you're making financially, those are really the things that make you happy. It makes the amount you're earning much less significant. But anyways, guys, what does the research actually show? I can talk about anecdotal evidence about my own life all day long, but I'm curious, and I imagine you're curious to know if there's any research or scientific studies that have been done on what amount of money you really actually need in order to be happy. And there was a fascinating study done by an incredible financial economist and writer named Daniel Kahneman. He wrote a really important book called Thinking Fast and Slow that a lot of finance people read. And Daniel Kahneman did a study in 2010 And it was actually a really high quality peer reviewed study. And what he found is that you can measure happiness in two kind of ways. He found the best way to measure it was, one, what is my overall level of happiness and engagement and fulfillment I feel in my life? That's kind of one way. We call that, happiness. And then the other one is, self-evaluation. Looking back on my life, if someone asks me, do I live a happy life or am I happy? What is my response, right? So what is my baseline happiness I feel? That's one. And two is, if someone were to ask me if my life is happy, can I recall experiences in my life? That's self-evaluation, evaluating, is my life, a happy place to live? What Kahneman actually found is that money plays a huge role. It actually plays a massive role in both your baseline happiness as well as, recalling past happiness. It actually plays a huge factor in both of them. But the big thing is that the amount of happiness in both cases levels off after a certain amount of money. If you, the way I would demonstrate this is if someone is earning $1 million a year and they earn an extra 50,000, it's really not that big of a deal to them. It's an extra 5%. But if someone's earning 50,000 and they earn an extra 50,000, that's huge because relatively speaking, they doubled their income. So back to the core concept. Kahneman found out that at $75,000 in income, the baseline life happiness you experience actually completely levels off. And the reason that is because the real baseline effect of happiness and the financial effect on that in your life isn't about doing crazy things, going on massive trips, jumping out of planes, having nice cars. It's about keeping creditors and keeping, your bill payments at bay, keeping them within your control. If you have credit card debt that is constantly bothering you, if you have a mortgage that you're overextended on, if you have payments that you can't afford, these sorts of things are extremely taxing mentally. And the $75,000 you can earn, and of course you adjust this for your city, right? Like if you live in Manhattan or San Francisco, that $75,000 will be a little higher than if you lived in, a rural area in Tennessee or whatever it might be. The more expensive the city you live in, you need to adjust this. But on average, $75,000 is the level of income that most people need to make sure the bills are paid and absorb any financial catastrophe, like some sort of emergency in your life or a medical event or something where you're off work. $75,000 is the amount that allows you to manage all of these things. Now, there is one stipulation, which is this reflective self-evaluation aspect of happiness, where looking back on your life, can you recall moments of happiness, moments of fulfillment? What Kahneman found is that is actually higher. You need to earn 95 to 100,000 to experience, the maximum of that. But all of that being said, it's not $1 million. It's not 5 million or $10 million. It's not as if we need to have some crazy amount of money to raise our happiness. But what we do find is that the more and more and more money we make, above $75,000 or $100,000, the incremental gains and happiness of our life really aren't that big. They really just aren't. But like I said before, maybe the answer or the question we really want to answer isn't how much, but it's how, right? How are we earning that $75,000? How are we earning that $100,000? Because if you're earning that $100,000 or that $75,000 in a job that you hate and you feel like it's dead end and you feel like you're not making progress and you don't enjoy the people you're working with, well then I can see that completely negating any of the happiness that the money creates for you. So I think, and my experience with, my personal life and my clients, is that creating financial independence, and what I mean by this is not going and earning the $75,000 or the $100,000 at a job you hate, but maybe creating your own venture, creating your own investment portfolio, building a business, owning rental property, something that inspires you and allows you to feel progress, and then generating $75,000 or $100,000 from a place that you enjoy, that actually gives you the freedom of time, right? At the end of the day, we can talk about money all day long. We have a finite amount of time. We have 85 to 90 years average life expectancy, and at the end of the day, that is the most important commodity. Anything that saves us time is actually creating more wealth. It makes us wealthier. It gives us time to spend with, our families or pursuing hobbies or all sorts of things that we actually really enjoy doing. So all of that said, I think maybe the goal shouldn't necessarily to be, okay, strive to make 75, strive to make 100,000. I think the goal should be create a lifestyle where you have financial independence, where you have autonomy and freedom. You have built yourself streams of income, not necessarily from one employer, but from different ventures and projects you enjoy and rental property and investments that can create that $75,000 or $100,000 for you in a passive way, in a way that is engaging and is exciting to you. So anyways, guys, with all of that said, thank you so much for watching this video. If you feel like you're learning anything whatsoever, I appreciate the support. Please hit like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more videos just like this one every single week. Until next time.